Hey everybody, welcome back to Inside the Dream. Today I'm excited to sit down with my good friend and the COO of the Wyant Group, Michael Wyant. Michael, thanks so much for joining me.
Hey buddy, it's good to be here.
Thanks for coming on, it's been a while.
I've wanted to do this for a really long time, and I know I didn't make the top 5, but I'm happy. I think I made the top 10. Well, I guess it depends on when you actually broadcast this, but I think I made the top 10.
If you were closer geographically, we would have got it in there earlier. And plus we had to get through the test runs until we got to you.
You're such a salesman. I love it.
I start every podcast off with a question, and that is, what is your first memory of Porsche?
I knew you were going to ask me this because I watched the podcast, and I have a great first memory of Porsche. So my parents were split. I moved out to the coast when I was quite young. Before I met you, I was playing hockey in Coquitlam one night, and my dad, he owned Zephyr Ford in downtown Vancouver. It's now Brian Jessel BMW, the building that we used to be in. So it's a big, tall building right off of number 1. And he took a 911 in on trade on a new Ford vehicle that he sold. And so we were in Coquitlam playing hockey. My brother and I were on the same team, and our dad was in town working, and he took us out for dinner that night after our game, and we didn't know, but he'd just taken this 911 in on trade, and after the hockey game was over, we came out to the parking lot. Our mom grabbed our gear, and we saw this car that our dad pulled up in. And it was like, I think it was maroon. I can't remember what the color would have been, and I don't know the spec because I was pretty young. I think it was only 10 or 11 years old, but I remember getting in this car and our dad taking us for dinner, and I felt something I'd never felt before. And I mean, we grew up in car dealerships, so like, you know, exciting cars were not new to us, but this was a whole nother thing. And I immediately went and I got a 911 poster.
There it is.
And I put it above my bed, where it lived until I finished high school.
Unreal.
So that is my first Porsche.
I'm trying to remember it because I would have been in that room at some point because we were friends right up until you moved away.
Yeah, and you know, you never know what the future's going to hold. But I mean, back then, we were Jubilee Ford in Saskatoon, and Dad had the Zephyr Ford dealership in Vancouver, but we had no idea that at a point in our lives, A, we would all be in the business together, and B, we would be lucky enough to represent the Porsche franchise in Saskatoon and then eventually Kelowna. So it's funny how things work out.
It is funny, and I was thinking about it on my way traveling out here today, and just kind of how long we've been friends. Like, we would have met in the mid-1990s. It's 2025, so we're going on 29, 30 years of being friends and knowing each other. It's pretty crazy.
You and I became really close friends right around the time that Tupac got shot, if anybody remembers that. Because I remember we were out skateboarding near Five Corners in Langley, and you were like, man, Tupac just got shot. So whatever year that was when you and I were becoming very close friends.
Oh, I wish I knew. It's a long time ago, that's for sure. Yeah. I was never the best skateboarder.
No.
You and Matt were much better than me at skateboarding.
We were a little better at that, yeah.
Fast forward, you know, me coming and joining the group, it's been actually 10 years, which is a shock as well, that I've moved out here from Langley, or I did move out to Saskatoon from Langley to work for you and your family in the group. Yeah. Now, as you mentioned, back in Kelowna running the Porsche dealership, so it's been quite a ride for you and I from a personal and a professional perspective. It's been fun.
Well, I think what people don't know is that since high school, when I moved back to Saskatoon to be closer to my dad, you and I stayed friends throughout. And while, you know, our relationship would ebb and flow a little bit, we stayed close, and you came to visit me in Saskatoon lots of times, maybe even more times than I came out to visit you in Langley. And I always thought that this would be a great industry for you. I thought if I could do it, you could do it, because of how similar we were in so many ways growing up. And then that opportunity kind of presented itself at that time in your life. And I couldn't have been more excited to have been a part of that with you. And then as soon as we began, you know, your career just kind of went like that. And we've grown a lot together in the last 10 years in this business for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. And even like the people that I've met and watching them grow as well, you know, Jared Bond at Jubilee Ford here, just all of it. It's pretty funny and interesting to see how we've come. And even though 10 years is a short time, it's a long time as well. And it's been quite the ride over that 10 years for sure.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah.
So we are at Jubilee Ford. Internally, we call this the mothership a little bit.
Yeah.
This is the first dealership that your dad started with. However, this isn't the original location.
Yeah.
You guys have just done some really cool things recently here at Jubilee Ford, but also in the Auto Mall here in Saskatoon. Anything stand out at you other than, you know, the Ford GTs that we're sitting in front of? Any cool stories or anything about how that's come together?
Man, you know, it's funny. I was talking about this morning actually with somebody. 25 years ago, there was nothing here. And I mean, obviously, the people on the podcast can't see the development around here. But Jubilee Ford was the first dealership to go into what is now the Saskatoon Auto Mall. And I remember when we first moved in, we had an issue with grasshoppers because we were in a farmer's field and there were grasshoppers everywhere on our lot because we were the only building. For like, you know, a couple of miles surrounding. There was no off-ramp. There was no commercial residential developments or anything. And so when we moved into this place in 2001, we were the only ones. I remember that stands out. And then things started to come up slowly. Fast forward 25 years, I mean, almost every brand in Saskatoon is represented here in this auto mall. You know, there's 15,000 people that live in Stonebridge down the street. We've built the alloy facility, which we're very proud of, our collision and detail center, but also it's one of the only buildings that we've been allowed to build ourselves without, you know, any CI requirements from our manufacturers. And it's a beautiful facility that every time I drive past it, I still get excited. But where we're sitting right now in the new Jubilee Ford, 2001, we built the original Jubilee Ford, and it was a Jaguar, Land Rover, Volvo on one side, Ford on the other side, common service drive-through. It was called the PAG, and it was the first one in North America to open. Years later, obviously, those brands are not connected anymore. And so we've moved the Jag, Land Rover, and Volvo out down the street to a new location. And we did a big renovation on this facility, which includes the boardroom that we're sitting in. And I think one of the things I'm most proud of from our facility development over the years is where we are. We built this boardroom to accommodate and accomplish what we need today as a group, whereas 10 or 15 years ago, what we needed was a lot different. We started having meetings, they were always off-site, we're always at a hotel, and now we can bring our management groups together at our home base, in the mothership, in this beautiful boardroom, and really facilitate the kind of collaboration and teamwork that I'm really proud of in my career as we've grown this business together, right? It's a cool place to work.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I love coming to the boardroom. Our meetings are so fantastic. On the topic of those meetings, because they really have grown, they've really expanded. When I first started, you and Jared took me to a Ford performance group. And I don't know if it was that meeting or meeting before or meeting after, but kind of at that time, you started to really take interest in it, finding the value in it, and you've now really created your own performance group for the entire group that of stores that you guys have. So it is obviously a passion thing for you.
Yeah, and like I grew up in these performance meetings where groups of dealers got together, shared financial information, and really tried their best to create objectives and hold each other accountable. But it was always facilitated by a third party that had no real interest in your business. And one day we had the idea that maybe we could do this better ourselves. And it started with senior management. And now we facilitate 11 meetings a year for all department managers in our company, not all in Saskatoon, but most of them are here in this boardroom. But I think the one thing that sticks out for me over the years is as we've grown, and not just size of our company, but as we've grown as individuals and leaders, the tone of the meeting has evolved as well. It used to just be about performance. How are you performing? How is your department performing? You know, what's your revenue? What's your gross margin? What are your expenses like? And it's really changed where we still look at those things because they're important to the profitability of our business. Without profit, we don't have a business. But it's a lot more about leadership and personal development. And how do we create an environment where our employee group and managers can thrive, can be excited to come to work, can create that customer experience that we're looking for because they're so happy to be here. So it's become so much more than just performance. It's about leadership development. It's about creating, instilling, and then cascading that culture throughout the business. It's a large business now, but
sure
we still, it doesn't feel like a large business. You call me the COO, like, I don't really know what that title means. I mean, I'm a member of the family that's got some knowledge in dealership operations, but I think my job is to bring our people together, to help them collaborate, help develop leadership, help them go back to their respective operations, have the tools and support they need to be successful, and be empowered to do so. And I think that maybe 10, 12 years ago when we started on these meetings, we didn't have that understanding of what our business truly needed then. And only now, maybe as we've grown and evolved, do we do we have a better understanding of what our people need to be successful? And that's the rewarding part for me, right?
They are fantastic, and then Evan and Jason come to the meetings, and the inspiration, the ideas, the confidence that they get from those meetings is incredible. And for us at the senior management level, coming through and creating those relationships with the other general managers or VPs of operations, I'm thinking of Ryan Wicks right now, who is the general manager of Audi. Yep. Without these meetings, I don't use Ryan the way that I use him. He's such an intelligent car guy, as it goes. But now that person's an asset to me, and it's brought together by having this kind of camaraderie, but also having it opened up to us in the platform that you put together for the performance group. So it's been great, and I think it's one of the biggest things to our success overall as a dealership, as a group.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I'll be the first person to tell you, I learn more from you guys at these meetings than I ever could teach back to you about what's going on in the business today. My role is to facilitate collaboration, bring you guys together and help you learn from each other. And if we can do that, I actually get to be brought up to speed with what's really happening. I mean, we got 18 rooftops and all these different brands. I can't have my finger on the pulse of what's happening in each business unless we create a forum where people feel safe and confident to share what's going on, the challenges they're facing, what's happening with their manufacturer, what's happening with the market and their customers, and then look around the room to a bunch of really intelligent, engaged people and go, this is the challenge that I have. What do you guys think? And then we all come together to try to help solve it. And I know no matter what challenge anybody's facing, there is some perspective in the room that is going to help them come up with a game plan to help solve it. Like I say, I enjoy learning from you guys a lot more today than I ever thought that I would, because I didn't really ever know where this was going to go. Right?
Yeah, I've just pointed out is you are so good at facilitating that meeting. There are very few people that would be able to stay engaged, stay out of it until you kind of need to get in there and steer and direct it. I don't know if I've ever said it, you don't get enough credit for it, but you do such an amazing job, and your passion for it, I think, has changed the trajectory for a lot of the senior managers, but also a lot of our department managers throughout the group. It's your feather in your cap, in my opinion, as far as kind of your support for the group. It's been very cool.
I appreciate it. I mean, it's an exciting business, and we get to deal with and facilitate transactions for customers on some of the most exciting pieces of technology in the world. You think about what we sell. Porsche is one of the best examples because it is, it's the pinnacle, right? But the technology that goes into these cars now, the types of customers that we get to deal with and the challenges that we face, there's nothing more exciting to me than the industry that we're in. And I feel really fortunate that I have this opportunity. And when you have an opportunity that gets you excited, it's not hard to get out of bed in the morning and go try your best to do a great job. As you know, you're the same way, right?
Yeah, we do it for our people as much as anything, people and our customers, our guests. You mentioned leadership earlier, and it's something that I'm very, very passionate about. I know that you're very passionate about it. Do you have something that stands out to you where there was maybe a shift? You mentioned going through the numbers and the financials and now really shifting to leadership, which I think is the most important thing that we can do as a business and a team. Is there one thing that made you switch, or did you just kind of go with the flow?
It's a really good question. I think that where our company started, it didn't start with me. It started with our dad, and he was the guy, right? Jubilee Ford on 8th Street, and he was the driver behind that business. And not a lot of things happened without him back in the day when we started out, And I think as the business grew, we still tried to do too much ourselves. And we were successful, but it wasn't sustainable, and I think that, things happen along the way that teach you about, where you want your company to go and what that means to the people involved. And for us, the sustainability side of it wasn't there. And I'm not talking about environmental sustainability. Yeah. I'm talking about the success of the business and your ability to withstand challenge as it comes at you. And if you think about, everybody can relate to what's happened in the last 5 years. The last 5 years for me maybe have been that turning point on where there were some holes in the boat, but we didn't know it. And when you face immense challenge, it shows you where those holes in the boat kind of are. thankfully, we have such an amazing team of people. But the stress that the pandemic put on everybody, and let's just follow it up with a few other major challenges in the marketplace in the world. You've got product shortages, which was fun, right?
Good and bad.
Good and bad. And then you've got hyperinflation driving the price of everything way higher. And then, the ability of our employee group, to meet their own financial needs. The cost of business have gone up. What are we facing right now? What's that thing going on?
Yeah.
Tariffs?
Yeah. Tariffs are having a small effect on things.
Tariffs are having, so I think that the pandemic maybe was the turning point that really showed me that, we have the ability to withstand immense pressure in our business. But it was very challenging for all of us. And I think what it did to everybody's mental health throughout that, what stuck out for me was creating a sustainable, almost support network for everybody, and trying to learn myself and teach our people how to lead through immense challenge. And because the immense challenges haven't stopped, and I don't think that they're going to. Someone said to me a while back, your industry is going to see more change in the next 10 years than it's ever seen in the last 100. And that's true.
Yep.
There's a lot of things that have come to our industry, gone, technologies have come here to stay, shifting all these things. But the biggest challenges we faced in the last 5 years haven't been, new technologies and powertrains and stuff like that, or different ways to buy vehicles or whatever. It's been external pressures that none of us saw coming. So why is leadership important? It's our ability to show up every day and give our people what they need to help manage through the challenging times. But leadership, while inherent, the tools to develop leadership aren't necessarily. And so you may be a good leader by nature, but how do we create and develop tools for you that you can then take back and help create and develop for your team? And when something goes sideways at work, because it's going to.
Yep. Always does.
How do we approach it? Does it ruin your day? Or do we come together, take a deep breath, help solve the problem, and carry on? Because all they are challenges that we face. But if it's at the expense of the mental health of us or our employees, because we're not leading effectively in challenging moments, I don't think that we're winning. And no matter what happens in a given day, I'd like to be able to go home and feel good about it. And I think the best way to do that for our company is to focus on, all of the tools that our leaders need to go back and be successful with their teams. They need to feel empowered to make decisions. They need to understand how to stay calm under pressure and manage through challenging situations. And if we can do that, that's the sustainability piece that I don't think our business had prior, and maybe didn't have it at all, but I think that's the piece that's going to carry us forward, and maybe 10 or 15 years from now, Robert, we're going to wake up and look back on the ride and go, that was a turning point, and then we put in a whole bunch of work for a whole lot of years, and look at how much fun it's been. And it's been fun, but it's been fun throughout some really challenging times. So how do we get better at managing through it?
And that's where the fun comes from, right? Leadership isn't a destination, it's a journey.
Right.
You're always learning. The players change, the situations change. It's just this ongoing effort to try to support our people better.
Yeah.
I think that you personally do it at a high level. I think that the group does it at a high level. There's a very big commitment from you and your family, Vaughn and Philip, to really have that foundation of support, leadership, and in all cases, putting the people before the business. Because without the people, there is no business. And you've said that to me many times. Thanks so much for sitting down with me. It was such a fun story. I've been wanting to do this for a while. You've been giving me grief about it for a while. I really think that you're probably at the real early stages of how far you're going to take this leadership journey. I know lots of the things that you're up to behind the scenes. And I think you're doing an absolutely fantastic job. So I appreciate it. I appreciate everything you've done for me, bringing me out, supporting me over the last decade, specifically professionally, but obviously our friendship that goes far further back than that. So thanks for sitting with me. It was fantastic, and I really appreciate it.
I can't believe that you didn't bring up some stories about when we were kids.
We were on a roll there. We were in leadership. I just didn't want to take it down. I didn't want to just crumble it. We'll have to do it the second time around.
You know, I'd love to come back on, but I was thinking about it today. There's not a lot of stories about our teenage years that I would share with anybody watching this podcast, because we've got, our peeps at Porsche Canada.
Yeah.
I know lots of them are watching this stuff, and all of our customers. But I got to tell you, very impressed with what you guys do with that business. And I love what you guys do with your podcast, because I think Inside the Dream, bringing insight to people about all areas of your business. I've seen a lot of the people you have on, and it's taught me a lot about Porsche, and I thought I knew quite a bit. And so you're bringing insight into the business to people that they might not have otherwise had, so I find it very interesting. You guys at Porsche Center Kelowna are the example. And I think it's important to point that out. You're premier dealer 2 years in a row. When we talk about ways to solve problems, you guys are the example of how to look at something, take a step back, and look at constructive ways to solve challenges within your business and come out of it with the result that you're looking for. And so I think a credit to you and your team on everything that you guys do so well. Makes us proud as a family. Makes me very proud as your friend. And, I wouldn't say we're just getting started, because I think we've been doing it for a while, but I'm excited about years to come as well, and all the success that you and your team are going to continue to have at Porsche Center Kelowna. So congratulations and thank you.
I appreciate it. I really appreciate the comments on the podcast. We were just trying to do something fun, something that other people weren't doing in our industry. And in regards to the dealership, that means so much to me, as you would know. I'm surrounded by the best team of people that I could possibly imagine. Nothing's possible without them. Evan, Jason, Julio, Jonathan, everybody in the shop, all the sales executives, the support staff. So it's really a team effort. I get a lot of the credit in a lot of cases, but I know for certainty that it's not even close to possible without them. But I do appreciate the comments.
There's nothing like Porsche. And I appreciate you getting me an allocation for another GT3. I know you're going to get the one back that I've been driving.
We haven't settled on trade numbers yet, but I feel pretty good about bringing it all together.
I got a feeling you're going to win on that one. Keep doing what you guys are doing, and we really appreciate you.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, that was great. Thanks. Thanks for joining, everybody. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. If you like today's episode, please give us a follow, share it, tell your friends about it. We really appreciate it. And until next time, have a fantastic one.